With Kaushal. Kaushal leads data and AI practice at Quantum Integrators. Previously, he served as CTO of Microsoft's US West region. Over his 20 plus years of career, he has delivered over 500 millions in measurable impact from enterprise AI initiatives. He specializes in multi-agent systems, data platforms, and Gen AI productionization, and is known for cutting the hype to focus on what actually works in production. So thank you, Kaushal, for being here. And Parag is technology director at Blizzard's Entertainment and an Academy Award recipient for technological achievement. I think the only IITian to receive an Oscar. So his work in facial performance capture how digital characters express emotions in films like Watchmen and Alice in Wonderland. So with his PhD in USC, he brings deep expertise in high performance system and production grade execution, bringing advanced research and systems that must perform in real time. So together they will give us like a clear idea on not just the theory behind how AI systems work, but how they work in productions. So over to you, Kaushal and Parag.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to pull up my presentation from my Mac. So just give me a second. But while I do that, I know you've all, hopefully some of you have seen my presentation from the last time. And this time we changed the format a little bit in that, we made it a paid event and partially there are a couple of driving factors, and the first being that there were a lot of signups, and we did not, frankly, did see so many in attendance actually when it came down to the sessions. So one was that, so we wanted to limit it to people who are really interested, and second is also that there's been a big change. Almost all the LLM providers and are now moving to monetization phase, which means they have made it even more and more difficult to have free to build tools as soon as the number of tokens goes up, which means the consumption of AI goes up. Third driving factor was that in future, actually, we have a much broader vision. We want to actually take all of you through much more interesting exercises as we evolve. So, obviously, a lot of us, assuming, are in this forum from IITs and also otherwise, also, we are all innovators at some level. So, we want to up the game in every new interaction that we have. Okay, so that being said, we will continue with today's session and it'll be quite interesting. Trust me. This is something that we have worked very hard to build, and we will be showing it to you. Okay, now just give me a moment. I'm trying to switch my devices. So I may have to leave from another device and join it here. Just give me a second. And, in those sessions. What I had intended was a very simple agent, but it has already evolved into a pretty capable and complex agent. Something that can serve you as your own financial assistant. So we'll see how we can upload you can upload potentially for this exercise, it's all general document, but potentially after the exercise, you can upload your real documents and to have real queries that can be beneficial to you. And then we will have some demo of real world agentic AI products, which is something, quite complex, as well as something that will give you a flavor of how agentic AI works in real world. Let's look at what is agentic AI. This is something, the whole Gen AI revolution. If you see, uh, Gen AI is widespread, but its business impact was very limited until agentic AI came about. So chatbots and content generations are only the first step. And after that, you need things that can really act. They can act within guardrails of an organization. That's very important because or no matter how good a technology is, unless it is secure, none of the organizations are going to use it. And AI is known to hallucinate, go off the track, be very inventive, creative, and totally wrong. So you don't want that in an organization setting. So, but still, it is quite useful. So, how do you use that? That is what we will see. Now, first and foremost, if you want to see where how AI apps differ from the regular apps, in regular app in previous world everything was definitive. You wrote a program, you gave it input, and you knew what the output is going to be. There was no probability attached. If you had the same program all the time, it will give you exact same output given the same set of inputs. However, when AI came, it introduced a lot of uncertainty, which is contrary to your logic, but it serves humanity in much bigger way, because we ourselves are quite uncertain by nature. We have logic in our brain which is quite fuzzy. So you get fuzzy inputs. There is a black box called AI, and then out comes the fuzzy output. But those things are quite descriptive and they capture the reality of humans very well, and that's why it is so useful. If this is a normal question that you get is what is RPA, robotic process automation, versus AI agents? It's something that I'm sure you also would have come across in your lives. uh, RPA is very fixed tool section and based, and output is pretty much fixed. If there is any change anywhere in the whole stack, you need to rewrite or reconfigure. In case of agentic world, you can adapt to a lot of changes. You can change one particular piece, and maybe the whole output input structure understanding with the users will continue to remain the same. Okay, so that's a big benefit. You want to take care of those kind of things. Now, what is AI, ML versus deep learning versus generative AI, RAG AI agents? These terms get thrown around in any meeting these days. So, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is the motherhood of everything. So that consists of machine learning, generative AI, deep learning, neural network, computer vision, non-linear programming. Natural language programming. Non-linear programming is operations research, and that happens to be my field in postgraduate study. So here we are talking about natural language programming. So AI is a general term that captures everything actually. So machine learning has been around pre-Gen AI area, that is now commonly referred to as AI, but AI has been around since 1956. Deep learning is something that makes use of neural networks, and that is something you see in your autonomous cars when you drive, Waymo, Tesla, and so on and so forth. Generative AI has been something which was brought about after a landmark paper by Ashish Vaswani was published in 2017 called Attention is All You Need. So that introduced first time, GPT architecture in natural language processing, and that changed the entire world. On which gradually OpenAI built, the whole chatbot architecture and so on. But chatbot architecture has been in development for a long time. Okay. Then RAG, to utilize it for organization, there were new things were needed, and RAG and AI agents, which is the topic of today's discussion, is what was developed on top of it. What you have is you have user giving inputs, and it is grounded into some contextual data, whether it is for organization, your own personal data, and so on and so forth. And then you can use different tools which can be static in nature but can be very full, in terms of processing, in terms of providing you structural inputs and so on, and then you get the output. AI agents is something which not only listens and gives you suggestions, but also has the capability to act depending on how long and how much do you want it to act. It can really do your ticket booking and so on in general terms, but in case of enterprise, it can do a lot of things. It can deploy code for you after you have reviewed it can create architectures for you. It can it can classify things into yes and no, and therefore whether it is a signal, and so on and so forth. So it can do a lot of those things. Now, from chatbots to agents, how did we move from chatbots to agents? So generative AI was, it used to produce responses, static interaction, and agentic AI had a lot more things, a lot more features to it, reasoning tools and memory, etc., to achieve certain goal. It is goal oriented, and goal can be quite fuzzy, quite interactive in nature in case of agentic AI. Ultimately, what you need to think, and this is something very useful that I have learned in my life, is AI is your assistant. You are not serving AI. AI is serving you. So, in whatever form and fashion AI comes to you, whether it is organization or not, it is an assistant, which means it is supposed to improve your productivity. It is not supposed to place humans, not as yet, and not probably in foreseeable future also. Evolution of AI systems. So what LLMs gave us could predict the next word and so on. That is the basic premise of LLMs, and it trains on massive static data sets, and then it is able to give you what it has been trained on. But the kind of combination, kind of understanding that it displays was generationally different from what was done earlier. What RAG gave us, it applied contextual learning on top of it, and what agent gave us was plan, reason, act, and learn. So why it matters for business transformation, this is where things start to get real. Okay, so it has the potential of automating complex multi-step tasks. This is still in its infancy if you look at the entire enterprise landscape across the world. Realizing value from AI is still a very, very big challenge for any enterprise. Even the large enterprises are barely starting to implement agentic AI systems in their production system. So highly advanced companies which have been in at the forefront of technology, the software vendors and some of the companies like Capital One, etc., are the ones who have already agentic AI sufficiently in production, quite mature. But other companies, even large names also, you see them at a very preliminary stage. It drives operational efficiency and speed, so it can cut down your operations time, process time, etc., to the tune of 70 to 80% very, very easily. What could have taken 6 weeks, 7 weeks can be done in a matter of hours, actually. Unlocks new use cases, support some of the things that were never thought of earlier. How business itself can drive technology discussions independent of IT. That is not possible with AI. So they can create a lot of things by themselves and have IT reviewed it or approved it, etc. Real business ROI through autonomous action. So a lot of what when I say autonomous, in the sense after adequate human review at certain stage. Okay. Now, how does agentic AI work? So, it user provides a high level task or goal essentially, and that is the basic premise. And that is how you set up agentic AI systems. AI agents reason and decide the next steps. So they have a lot of intelligence, but you want that intelligence to be very specific to agent. You want to create very tight boundaries, and you want to have guardrails which include the security policies, the sentiment, the regulatory concern of the organization, and ability to keep the privacy of data actually intact. Otherwise, there can be very costly, very expensive penalty, in the outputs. Third is it can call tools, APIs, database as needed. Essentially, that's the hallmark of agentic AI. It can loop until the task is complete. So, how to build AI agents, tool platforms, and frameworks. So you have this goes into the build process of it. So you may get into it, you may not get into it, up to you. But it's good to know what goes into building. So these are very elementary building blocks, but they are there in almost all the agentic AI. What you have is it can have one or multiple LLMs depending on the type and efficiency of LLMs. So you have LLMs in between. They take care of, I mean, they interact with a lot of tools, and then they take care of a lot of tasks that users throw at it, and then they give answer. In the whole process, you will have mechanisms of caching, memory, train, and guardrails, etc., built on top of it. So I will skip this one, but this is important. Agents and tasks can have many to many relationship. One agent can, tackle many tasks, and several tasks can require multiple agents, and so on. How agents interact, there are several options available. The most common is hierarchical, which means there will be a manager agent and there will be sub agents which will do specific things. And the reason you want to split into several agents is because each agent can be then expert at doing something and then not do anything beyond that. So that way you have control over it. That way you can replace it with better, structure in future and still not disturb the entire flow. So this is quite modular in nature. Sequential is one feeds to the output of the next, and this is more on the lines of robotic process automation that used to happen earlier. Hybrid is where you make use of both structures, and parallel is two things working in parallel until the outputs merge at some point. Most of the agents are quite synchronous in nature, which means they interact in real time. You can have async also, which means they wake up, they do something, they go back to sleep and wake up again until they are called upon. Different kind of things. So one thing is important is agents have always, this is a very simplistic view, but they always have a role defined. The way you create agents is literally, by creating this kind of a structure, what is the role, and you describe that in plain English, and goal is doing this, and you will see all this in the life example, or rather the uh, agentic exercise that we will do. Task has a description, what is the expected output and what kind of agent will it use. So you go back this slide, you remember each task can utilize one or more agents, and one agent can feed into several tasks. So this is where you have the flexibility of attaching one agent or the other. There are, of course, a lot that goes into making agentic AI useful for enterprises and setting boundaries. There is a whole, LLM is just the starting point. A RAG architecture basically, enables more and more out of LLM and brings it into use for agentic AI. Knowledge base is something that results in contextualization and even ethical practices and how you can make it safe. Very, very important. Interaction interface, that is also called control plane, and how do you integrate with the rest of the organization, how it is going to be consumed, and then the whole case of operational independence, which includes autonomous decisions, self-learning, scalability, the whole area of governance and auditability, which, and we will have some flavor of each one of these. So in fact, we'll ask our agent, how do you arrive at a decision, explain me these steps, and so on, so that anybody later on, if there is something that is required by regulators, let's say, you can really go back and audit the processes, the steps through which agents went through and produce those things. uh, at a very high level, this is how the picture looks like. User interacts with the agent orchestrator. There are a lot of tools and code interpreter tools, etc., which assist agent orchestrator. There is memory layer, there is context manager, there is vector store tool. You will see that in your exercise. And there is knowledge layer, embeddings and similarity search, etc. And then there is a knowledge layer that comes into picture again, and recursively it produces the. There are guardrails, as I mentioned. Guardrails are very, very important. You have input, from input to output. There are so many things that take place. Okay. Uh, Content filtering, input validation, intent recognition, and then pre-check validation. Then that goes into something called different kind of LLMs and rule based protection. So for example, what is the character limit? You just cannot give infinite inputs and expect it to behave. It'll say, okay, this is too much, my limit is here, this is where it is. Blacklist certain kind of inputs. Regex is one of those regular expressions. Then there is a tool, something called deep check, that happens. Is it safe or not? If it is, then it is given to Agentic AI framework. Already so much work has happened before it hits any agent. And then let's say if it is a case of refund agent, for example, this is just an example here. Then it says, okay, now a refund is possible because I have gone through so many checks. And then in the end, even before giving you the output, there are a lot of other changes that happen. Safety check again, whether it is displaying personal information of anybody, whether it matches with the style and guidance of the company and so on, and then the output comes. Now you may think, you may not have experienced it, but you if you have interacted with chatbot, all this and much more complicated controls happen by every chatbot in the world, whether it is Anthropic, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and whatnot. They are nothing but LLM plus RAG architecture. This whole scheme that you see here, everything is implemented behind the scene when you interact with ChatGPT. Try giving it any of the let's say violent input that is related to violence, that is related to self harm, that is related to explicit content and so on, and see how there are inbuilt checks. They will refuse to, I mean, chat gpt will refuse to answer that. In some ways it is allowed in grok, but that's a different story because that was a choice. So that's how all these things that I'm explaining here are, in a much more advanced manner, are built into even a simple chatbot that you experience in the market. Okay. So one of the tools being used for orchestration is called Chain. It is open source framework for building applications and coordinating and orchestrating more or less. So supports agentic AI reasoning, multi-step task, integrates easily with Google Vertex AI models, etc. Vertex AI is, within, we are using Google example. That's why I'm explaining. And this goes, in some form, fashion, you'll find it in any, you know, uh, uh, AI framework that you will interact with. Access to powerful foundational models, built-in security applications for enterprises, reasoning agent and development kit, scalable and production ready. So now we'll try to build actually 4 agents exercise, and your this eventually will build your personal assistant with RAG and agents. So that's the whole intent. So this will use Google AI Studio and Colab, create an agent that thinks and acts, and see reasoning and output live. So what this will demonstrate how it is different from LLM chatbot that you may have experienced. This is single prompt and then a reply, that kind of thing goes on. This is multi-step reasoning that happens, and it will tell you how it has come about, what are the restrictions that it has gone through, and so on. Role specialization, each agent has some role. You'll see that also. Tools used, they can research, they can search the web in the manner that you want, and then can help you visualize things also. Memory and chaining, it is all manual, but these days, at least chatbots, etc., they allow projects approach, which means they do take care of your, what you have asked in past. They have a search database, as well as if you describe yourself, which is what I have done to my chatbot, it already knows what is my background, what is my age, and where do I live, what are my preferences, that I'm from North India. If I ask any nutrition related question, it does take into account my taste profile and so on. But that is something you can build methodically and much more in agentic architecture. So human in the loop is not available. You cannot send something for approval to somebody and then get back their inputs and then integrate back into the flow and so on. In single LLM chatbot, that's not possible. Although inside it has those kind of things. For example, if you were to ask something, some nasty question, how to build something, something harmful and so on, that does go for human review in the background. Their security team flags it, and then somebody sees it. If you answer too many of such questions, you'll probably get a notice. Or if you have a paid account with one of the cloud providers, they are likely to block your account. So those things do happen for everything, and when you build it for enterprises, you can easily build that, and that we will see that, and I'll show you when I come to the enterprise. section. Reuse and scaling is very, very difficult in LLM chatbot beyond one person approach. And in case of agentic architecture, it is modular, composable. So let's look at the agentic exercise for which you have prepared, and hopefully you've come prepared uh, with the Google Colab instruction, those that were given. Anything I can pause while I pull it. I'll stop sharing and share it again once I bring my screen up. Any questions so far from the chat?
I don't have Google thing, but I have Claude set up in my system. Can I use Claude for this?
This exercise is set up. You cannot ask it, okay, tell me how you arrived at, and so on, right? So we are trying to do all that, right? So now you click the next one, what we are building, you will see a button, just execute that one. So now you should see what it is trying to do. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to build finance assistant, and this is the architecture, private documents. So you have portfolio, tax, and insurance and general. What you can see on the left side is what it is. So financial docs, for example, if I expand, you will see this. You have general files here, insurance files, you have portfolio files, and you have tax files. Potentially, you could upload your own files here later on in real example. Of course, I have not chosen for privacy reason anything which is not publicly available. So you see a tax form also. I suggest when you upload your own tax form later on, you redact your personal information, SSN, your address, your name, etc., and fill it here. So right now this is all filled in. So this is all sample data. This is all the financial docs. So this is the private document part. Okay, so you have all these documents uploaded. They go into something called RAG layer, which is called ChromaDB and Gemini embeddings. So ChromaDB is the very top folder. So it does something magical here. Once you have the section aware chunking and so on, so a lot of things. Then it utilizes 5 core plus 4 web searches. So search documents, get market trend, generate chart, export Excel, and so on. Next is the agent hierarchy. So we have orchestrator agent, and within that are portfolio analyst, tax advisor, and insurance. So in all, 4 agent architecture. And this is all goes behind the scene, and it all is displayed and controlled through this notebook. So that is the overall architecture. Now let's move on from here. So let's go by pressing Shift Enter. So there was nothing to be run. This was just a display file, display section. So even if you did not run, you'll not losing anything. What we are building is a 4-layer stack. Private documents go through this, what has been explained. What is the capability? Private knowledge base, live data grounding, auditable answers, expert collaboration, actionable output, and so on. So this now we are going to do environment. We did already environment setup. This is where we are, and we have the tools here, agent hierarchy, and so on. Let's begin. Now, next is the environment setup. So this is where I have already given instruction to you. Before you start, all this is in the same, yeah, this all has already happened. How to get your Google key. So if you have not got your Google key, this is, you have to go to Google AI Studio, get API key. In the interest of time, I gave these instructions in advance. So hopefully you have the key. And the way you get the key is here. Okay, so if you see the key button, this is where you need to, if you do not have key, if you have copied it from elsewhere, this is how you click new one and it'll pop up. Here you give the name of the key and you paste the key. Okay, so key is here, for example. So Google API key is already here. ngrok is something we will generate later on and we'll do it. Okay, so now if you have this, you have clicked key section, you enable everything for notebook to be used by notebook. First one, Gemini, we are not using it here, but that's okay. If you have it, fine. Otherwise, also it's So once you have this setup, now things will start getting executed from the following sections. Now, here again, if you have come this far, now this is the section 1, environment setup. So if you're already here, we will move on to the next one. We'll just press and install independent dependencies. So it is installing Google ADK, Google environment, and so on. Okay. So great. I think it is already done. So ngrok key, we will set it later. Okay, I'll give you time for that. So this is now executed. We'll move on. We'll go and import all the libraries. So we are in cell number 4, which is the second one after section 1.2. So it is now verifying all dependencies. It just wants to ensure that everything you wanted will be useful later is already up and running. Nest async IO. So yeah, so all this is technical stuff. You don't need to. Now this one is, it says API key set, Gemini, okay, I'm ready. What can I help you with? Working directory and so on. And Grok token only required for Google Colab UI launches. So that will be required later, but so far we can go ahead with this. Next one is verify bundle assets. So I'll execute this one too. So there is nothing much to be done. It's already executed. Project map, what is where. So you already saw the structure of the documents and so on. I will close this. If I open file structure, you will see all that. Okay. So as you saw, finance agent, I will expand. This is what it says. Agents.py, what each file does is here. So you can actually, if you are slightly advanced user, you can go to agents, modify agent behavior, and it will run the whole thing. Okay. This is financial docs, as I said, general insurance portfolio. That's what it is. It has ChromaDB because it is going to store a lot of data. It is very lightweight database used for this particular exercise. So we are trying to keep this all very simple, as simple as we can. So you can run this exercise, but you will get to see this. So this is what it is doing. It is taking all the source document that you've uploaded. This is the RAG part, which means it is contextualized to the documents that you are uploading. And you can do a lot more things, and you can continue to upload, you can rerun it, etc., which is usually chatbots also provide this capability at least now, but you cannot change it later and come back and rerun and all that stuff, right? You need to do the whole exercise there, and plus they are limited in the ability to act with several agents. So this is where you do the text, whatever is there is put into some kind of a mixer, so to say. You extract text out of it and you convert that to Gemini embeddings, and you store it in ChromaDB. So that is something that you do so that it is queryable. Okay. Now, agents query, they query the embedding. This is in ChromaDB, you do something called similarity search, that whatever you have asked, what are the chunks that are closest to that, and they produce the output. Okay. Now, after that, the bundle is ready to use for this session, and we are going to do now filtering and so on. Okay. So this is, yeah. So nothing to be executed in the next section. You come to this cell, which is called 3.4. So we will execute this one. Now, this part I had already done. So this has already, included all the 336 total vectors. If you have reached this point, I want thumbs up here, which means you've at least done things well until now. Okay, good, good, good. I'm so proud of you, all of you. Good. So it should say 336 vectors index all across documents. So the beauty is, let's say if you want to add some more documents, you had a change of heart. Okay, I want some more information. I forgot one document and so on, or something has changed. You want to do it for next year or maybe previous year. You can change the entire set of document, just run this cell and it'll again create some, a new database for you to query. In future, probably you can have even year by year, all the documents available, and maybe try to do how you've done this year, that particular year, how good were your finances and so on. So now we come to the guardrails demo. This is important. If you paid attention, I showed you how guardrail is built and so on. Now this is the what you want to do is you want to see and ask whether it is limiting some answers or not. It should ideally not answer everything, because it has to be contextual. It has to be within certain guidelines. Okay. So if you see here, every fact and agent must come from a chunk like this, which means, you have, for example, if you ask it a question, umbrella policy coverage limit, it should come from your umbrella policy, which is uploaded here, and not some random answer. So you do that, you just check, and this is what this particular section does. Make sure, it is all coming properly. All right. Now, next, let's go on and add your own. Potentially, you can add your own documents later on, and this will give you net worth, cash flow, policy memos. All this can be in Excel or in form of portfolio information, for example. So all this, let's see. Okay. So all this is, if you can see, all these are text files, CSV files, PDF files, and tax total, etc. All those things you can add here later on. So this is all for later. I will move on from here. Okay. Now I am in capability, grounded in live data. So we'll test how grounded it is in the live data. Now, live data demo, finance agent tools, and so on. So this is you're checking essentially whether it is being able to look at market trend and so on. So it does. Apparently it says market data for this particular script last 30 days, this has been the trend, and this is the current price and so on. So you can go ahead and check. This will all match with the latest data. Now, another capability that you're going to see is the every answer is audited. So citation enforcement as a production guardrails. So which means you are able to citation rule when stating any fact retrieved from documents always include a citation. So you're enabling that part, which means you can click, you can find out where it came from and so on. Okay. So this is something is the capability already built into it, and that is what your takeaway should be in agentic AI. Instruction level versus post processing enforcement. Post processing filter after the LLM response, yes, and instruction level if it's harder and so on, right? So what is the instruction level that you want to do after it has processed? Citation guardrail demo. Now let's try and see, if you ask something which is not supposed to, then how does it respond? Okay. No. Okay. So this is just for demo. What insurance policy do I have and what are their coverage limits? Okay. So this is now homeowner's policy. It is displaying you everything, that is contained in your policy. Final answer is this. You have the following. Yeah. Okay. So now this is where it is, picking up answers from different agents, and then the final, answer from a particular agent, insurance specialist, is this one. So it is finalizing all that. Okay. Now this is nothing but orchestration. So how it is being, I already mentioned there are three agents. This is the detail of what each one does. So when you construct agentic architecture, it's also important to let people know how it is structured and how it is doing the work that it is doing. So what are the tools used? How are the agent connected? If you remember my diagram about hierarchical, this is a simple hierarchical setup. Okay. Orchestrator has no tools on purpose. So now the thing is, Orchestrator agent. So we have given a lot of tools. You don't see any tool in Orchestrator because it cannot hallucinate, which means whatever analysis is given, that is what it'll go with. Okay. And for each one, you see what is the model that is being used. So in this case, we have used all the Flash models, but in reality, it can be different models also for different purposes. Some could be used for creating better code or better diagrams or better pictures and so on. Orchestrator has no tools on purpose, and that is the architectural decisions we took. Key guardrails that are built already has zero data tools, document type scoping, tool scoping, separation of retrieval, and synthesis. So these are design principles. These obviously require experience when you're building solutions. Okay. Now, agent hierarchy demo, we will try to see execute that how it is synthesized at a higher level. Okay. So now you see the same thing. Single domain query was portfolio allocation. Okay. You can see what is my total portfolio value and how it is allocated. So this is your total portfolio. So congratulations if you have $4 million. You're doing good in life. So this is how the your analysis is right now. Here's the chart illustrating. Okay. So your total portfolio analyst is giving you the portfolio allocation. Now, you can obviously go and follow this instruction later on if you want to change the agents. They are all in this particular agents.py file, which is this file. You can ideally take this file, change it and re-upload in the right folder. You'll be able to change the nature of the agents also. So these are Python files, which means you can open it in VS Code and so on and change it there, bring it back. Just change the text part and you'll get to know, because each one of them has description, what it does and so on. So you can tweak around actually that. Okay. To change behavior, edit this and change tools. Here are some instructions for you to play later on. So I'm not going into that now. Now let's try to do in sandbox before we display the result. Ready? So it is now ready. So run the sandbox query. So tell me about Apple. What does the company do and what's the current stock price? Okay. So this agent says Apple operates in technology and blah, blah, blah. So this information was not in this. This went out to the web and brought that information for you from insight to action. Now let's try to pull everything together. Okay. Now what is this finance agent tool? So in finance agent tool, essentially, that is going out and again getting a lot more information for you. So S&P agent, growth fund, whatever, all that stuff, different indexes, and you can change these essentially. So that's so if you want, this is the okay. So you can have output in an Excel also. This is Excel is stored here, portfolio snapshot.excel. Here it is. So if you see on the left side, this thing has got generated portfolio snapshot.xls. If you want to download, it can be there. Okay. Now we'll see why do you have so many agents. Okay. And what is you see that structure? This is the same structure that is applicable. This is displayed here. Let's see. Check. Now we are getting more complex. We are saying, why do we need agent like this if we could do individual analytics, see your portfolio, and so on? Now, this is a query which is more complex. Check the current stock market trend. Based on the trend, if my current equities, grow proportionally, what would my estimated new total worth portfolio B? With this new projected value, calculate my estimated capital gains tax if I sell all equities using last year's effective tax rate. Determine if my current umbrella policy limit is sufficient, etc. Right now, this is a fairly complex query. Even if you were to do it on your own, just by Excel, etc., you will spend a lot more time. Now, this is where it shines. This is where, and you cannot do this in, Chat GPT also, because this is more. Try doing it in Chat GPT, and you'll see why. So it may hallucinate. There's no guarantee that it'll give you correct answer. But here you have ensured that things are tools mapping to agents, etc., is very tightly controlled, and they are all tested individually, and that they are giving output that they are supposed to. So you have tested all that, and moreover, each output has kind of reference to what you have. For example, here if you see, it tells you, what is the source. Source is portfolio holdings detailed CSV page 1. So it is giving you all the details where it is picking the data from. If you are suspicious about something, you can go back and check also if you want. Okay, if you say, wow, this is too good to be true, let me see if it's even true, you can go back and check. In ChatGPT, you cannot have that, at least not to the level that you want. So what it replied to that complex query, let's see how good it is. Okay. So it says portfolio and analytics tool essentially is giving it all the information, is doing its job. Estimated new portfolio value is this much. And then comes the estimated capital gains tax calculation and so on. Right. And then umbrella policy sufficiency is from another agent, and all the agents give their own reply. Okay, and in the end, final uh, answer from tax advisor agent is this. So your total current equity market value is this, your current equity cost basis is this, current total capital gains is this much. Okay, and equity value after this market trend will be this. Okay, as calculated by portfolio analyst. Capital gains is likely to be this minus this is equal to this much amount. Last year's effective federal tax rate was this. So therefore, gains tax would be 273,000. Now, there's a very useful analysis, if you're choosing to liquidate part of your portfolio and so on. So here you get directly all that with so much ease. Otherwise, if you were to do it on your own, probably you'll be doing it for days. Umbrella policy sufficiency, it says your new portfolio value is likely to be this. Current umbrella policy limit is 5 million, so you are covered. Okay. So that's also a good way to check. Normally, we don't do it. So it is going into liability coverage, it is pulling that out. Whatever you've calculated so far, it is just comparing it. Launch the financial. Now comes the better part of having a UI interface. So this is where we'll try to work it for everybody. If not, this is ngrok helper for Google Colab UI launches. So let's see. So this is the helper part. This is the launch finance chat UI. So let's do the UI part. Now, this will require you, Piyush, do you want to just guide how to get the ngrok key?
Yes, just a second.
Yeah. I think, again, it is throwing that error because it is running from your end, probably.
Oh, 1 second.
Can you, if it's possible to show your screen, please do that. I'll come in a minute. Yes, I need 1 minute break.
Yes. Yes, just 1 second.
Saw actually in the demo, and this should be able to, these are quick points that you can click and get some answers. The ones in the blue are a little bit more complex, so let's see one by one what they are able to. On the right side, you see this is a very nice UI developed very quickly. You see what each agent is trying to do and get you the answer. Okay, so it says your total portfolio value is blah blah blah, all those things, and then suggested follow-up action. How does this asset compare to my target allocation? Let's ask that. And then again, it is trying to give you. I could not find specific target details. The available document currently account for this without target. Okay, so let's forget that. Let's see if it can answer this one. What was my effective tax rate last year? Okay. If I ask this question, most of us probably will not be able to answer that. It has very quickly determined what was the tax rate based on how much was the liability, adjusted gross income, and etc. All those things, right? So if you want to say, if I want to retire in 10 years and have a distribution of 200, let's say $100,000 annually, am I covered? Will I be covered? Let's say, okay. Will I be covered? Now, this is a very complex query. Let's see, I'm not even sure if it'll be able to answer, but let's see. I have not tried that. I tried on a different data set, it was able to do it, but let's see. Yeah. So it says very intelligently, it has been able to tell you your current portfolio is this. To estimate your portfolio will cover an annual distribution of this in 10 years. I'll make the following assumption. Portfolio growth rate of 5%, very reasonable. I am in line with it. Here's the projected portfolio value in this, future value, present value times this. It'll be this with projected value of approximately this. Your annual distribution would represent about 3.06% of portfolio value. Based on common guideline, and this is important, like 4% rule, which suggests portfolio can sustainably distribute 4% of its value annually, right? Because the rest of it will be taken care of with the growth rate that it has, 5%. A 3.06 distribution is generally considered sustainable, indicating that your portfolio would likely be able to cover an annual distribution of $100,000 in retirement. But that is in future. So let's say if I want to have a distribution of $200,000 annually, how much should I invest every year for next 10 years? So if I want to live a richer lifestyle, let's say, and I want to say that, okay, if I were to do this, in which case probably it will come to 6%, which will be more than 4%, then naturally in next 10 years, I need to earn or grow my pot enough so that I can withdraw 200,000 annually then, okay? Now that is again a very complex query. So let's see how does it perform. And I can have several what ifs based off of that. So this is now it is functioning truly as a finance assistant. Okay. So what it says, it tells you that yes, to support 4%, which is a common guideline, target portfolio distribution should be about 5 million. Okay. Because I'm trying to withdraw 200,000 annually. Current value is 2 something. If you want to reach so much of money in 10 years at an average rate of 5%, it showed you the calculation also, future value of this, present value of this, annual growth rate of this, number of years of this, and it calculates, it shows you all these steps, and it says required annual investment. Every year you need to be investing so much in your portfolio to have that kind of lifestyle. You need to invest approximately each year for this, and this. So very good analysis in my opinion. I need to say, if I need to invest so much every year, how much should I be earning, right? So earning would require my with annually with current expenses expenses of, if you're living in SoCal, which is very, very representative, right? So which means current expenses of this and tax rate of today, right? So let's see what strategy does it give. You can, of course, you have other follow-up questions also if you want to retire in 12 years and whatnot. So it calculated everything, right? So here tax rate is this, income tax rate is this, results in combined estimated effective tax rate of this. To determine current expenses are this, so annual investment this, so which means taxes plus current expenses and plus investment needed. That should ideally be how much I should be earning. You should be earning this much, 415,000 annually to cover an annual investment of this. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but I think there's a very practical query based off of very simple agent that we've been able to build. And, so this is the kind of benefit that you can get if you are probably, you can of course go into other details. If I'm earning this much, my technologies, my skills are this, like this, and suggest to me based on current market trend, what else should I be doing, what other avenues exist, and blah blah. Or if you give a breakdown of your expenses, how can I reduce my expenses, what are these strategies, what is this strategy to establish consistent income stream and whatnot, right? So you can go into further detail, which probably you may be able to ask or you may not be able to ask your advisor, but you can do it. You can even tell your advisor that, okay, yes, this is something I have come prepared with and I want to discuss with you now. So you can do a lot of stuff, which may or may not be available to you earlier. So that's where it is. Let me very quickly stop sharing, remove from toolbar. Okay. No. Oh, what happened? I stopped. Not able to move it now. Okay. Yeah. Dhanshri, can you just stop the share from me?
Let me see how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just say stop share or something. We can get
Done.
into question answer now. And
Yeah.
folks, I apologize for some of the changes in the setting, etc. This is a monumental undertaking. First, giving the live demo and conducting the live exercises. This is like the pinnacle of value sessions, basically, as far as they go. So yeah, so that is where we are. We try to attempt something very audacious. I'm glad that I've been able to cover everything that I intended for this. My vision is to take this kind of assistant, and in the next exercise, next session, obviously we have learned based on your feedback what you want to see more out of this. We can try to build that, and we'll have some technological element also into that, and this will continue to evolve into a shape. For example, right now it doesn't give graphics, etc., so it'll have that kind of thing. We have made sure, at least in the current setup itself, the data is protected, data does not go out of your boundary and so on. So we'll probably put more and more controls to it. With that, I think that's how much we could do, and I thank Piyush also for helping as well as creating the demo. So that's where we are. And yep, I'm glad I could show everything. Yeah.
So I have a question,
Roop?
Kaushal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you just now answered at least part of it. First of all, congratulations for completing a successful demo here. It's not easy, live demo. Uh, then the question is the data that you are loading, let's say your redacted text documents and so on, how much of it go to some big tech LLMs for any parsing or anything?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so that was the purpose, right? Here we used Gemini. So if you do not use your name and number, essentially Gemini will just see the numbers. Okay. And that probably is not useful to it at all. So it's not in the business of trying to correlate and trying to put 20-member team to track down, okay, these numbers roughly correspond to Rube Goel. So You're not going to do that. With that, I think you're fairly protected, but there is a way of doing it on your desktop where you can even download the LLMs actually. And you can potentially build the whole thing on your desktop itself where nothing, absolutely nothing will go out. The disadvantage is that it will require far more GPU actually to calculate tokens. Each step is likely to take much longer than what you saw today.
And out of the Python programming that you did in this, how
Yeah.
much of it was tailored to finances and how much of it was totally generic?
It was totally generic, and yeah, it was totally generic at this stage. So there was nothing, we built specific to finance as such. But in next iteration, I hope to have at least some finance expert also and see
Okay.
how we can manage it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
yield to other people to ask questions. Thank
yeah.
you.
I think it was very generic. The If you look at the agent code that Kaushal and Piyush have organized, it could be anything.
Mm. Yeah. You could, yeah.
Wish,
Parag, are you
wish.
gonna go through the Q&A document questions first?
Yeah.
Let's see.
And also,
Okay.
probably we would like to in future containerize, and that's where, all the donations that you have that go towards Southern California Kitty, and we would use that in organizing and having better setup also in future. So your experience will be better, your participation should be more meaningful.
Okay. There are some questions in the that went under in the
Yeah,
chat space, and let's go a few of them first quickly.
sure.
Jaspal had a question.
Mhm.
In the initial presentation, Kaushal had mentioned agents and tasks. Is task a technical term? Which are the tasks in the notebook?
Mhm. I mean, task is what you want it to do essentially. So what gets done, so what gets done is always kept different from who does it. So that's how you should interpret these things. So you define that, it's a portfolio analyzer agent because you want to analyze your portfolio. So you are building an agent with respect to that. So that's the difference. Now, portfolio analysis can have two agents, three agents, multiple agents, or it can have just dedicated agents. So that's the difference. So that's how you should understand a task. Task is what you want to do. And in those definitions of agents, you will see how they're each defined. If you open those PY files, you'll see, how each agent is constructed for its definition.
Then
Yeah,
Hari had a
in
question.
your
Go
in
ahead.
your initial presentation, I think I saw in that slide that the task had its own code. Like there
Yeah,
was code that said
yeah, yeah.
something
What
task.
needs to be
So in a way, I was looking for that, and when I searched through the
yeah.
code, this notebook,
Description.
it did not
Yeah,
have that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
cool. Yeah,
description.
but
There was a slide actually
I
which
understand
showed
your.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
So you want to keep these two things separate. That is the whole agentic AI architecture.
Okay, the next question is from Hari. From a tokens requirement point of view, does MCP require a lot of tokens against skills? He's asking a question.
Against the skills, no. MCP server is a server, okay, so
Yeah.
which just negotiates between the requirements on one side and assets on the other side. Assets are tools and agents and so on. So that's what it does. If you are, let's say, trying to build something which requires two agents which were already previously built, use 3 out of 5 tools that already exist. So you could do that. You could just take it from MCP server. That's all it does. So consumption of tokens is limited to the calls to LLMs. Okay, so LLMs ultimately, whenever you call LLMs, whether you're trying to send or receive, you are going to incur costs. That's the only way you incur costs. That's it. If you have downloaded the, let's say, LLMs in your local environment or on a server or in cloud environment, then the calls to cloud actually would be taken into consideration. The machine it will be running on, that you will be incurring cost for that machine in cloud, but your cost, you'll obviously save some amount of money there. So, but obviously you don't want to do that for enterprise. Enterprises want latest and greatest, and it's all available to be serviced from Anthropic AI and OpenAI. So
Let's see. I think Vishal has a question.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. Really good material. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I am wondering that how do these agentic applications make sure that the data used is the most current data? Typically financial data resides in
Mhm.
various brokerages, banks, and
Mhm.
I mean you need access to get the data.
Mm.
So I'm wondering how does these agents deal with that?
Okay, it all depends on, for example, if you have tagged, if you have tables which list which year it is from, if you have that kind of intelligence into your data, it'll be, aware of all that. If you have a database which has, let's say, 2025 data, 2023 data, and so on, it'll have that intelligence. So it depends on, but if you were to remove that year column and just give it a bunch of figures and columns, it won't know. So it can hallucinate in that case. So it all depends on how do you structure your, what kind of data have you fed. So, and these things are usually not very difficult because anyway, for reporting purposes, you'll have them properly tagged in a table which has good identifiers, good relationship among tables, and so on. So that usually, and I mean, LLMs are able to chunk it properly and keep a tab of it very well. That's not a problem.
So the agents can actually log into your brokerage accounts and bank accounts and
No,
get
no,
the
they
they
will not.
cannot, right?
Unless you specifically build
Yeah.
interfaces that can, it won't do that. Usually you'll have to download these statements and feed it here. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't ask agent to be able to log into my accounts at all. So God knows what it'll do, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are applications, right? I mean, where
Applications are there, yes, but
Mhm.
agents, imagine agents have intelligence. So they can go rogue. That is a very serious problem, actually. They may misunderstand your instruction, and you may say, how much did I, what is my charity contribution in my last income tax? It may go and log into your account and give everything to charity and say that, yes, everything. It's maxed out, actually. Uh, so you have all that possibility. So you don't want to do that. You just want to give data, have it restricted, put guardrails around it, what it
Mhm.
should do with that data, and that's how I'll do it. So that is the difference between applications and agents, right? So
Got it. Thank you.
There's a difference between read-only and allowing write capabilities.
yeah.
Okay, the next question was from Jaspal. He said, will we be building on this notebook that you've given in session 2? I think you said yes.
Yes, we will. I mean, there'll be a different notebook, but it'll build on this idea. I plan to have a consultation with hedge fund experts and then probably build something even more meaningful next time, which will be more jazzy. Not that this is, by the way, if you put the right data, this is very, very capable. To get those kind of analytics, I don't know how much you'll have to go through. And try asking the same questions to your advisor and see what you get. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Swati, I
That,
think, has her hand up. Yeah.
Can you please show the various tools used by the Agentic this application once again? I mean, you have already shown it,
Yeah.
but if you can just
What
show
I
it
would
once
do
again.
is you can take it and it is uploaded in that directory. Otherwise, you just open that in your local folder. And if you can open it in VS Code, it will show you
Mm.
exactly what tools are being used.
Oh,
So
I
there's a
see.
tools folder and tools py file.
Mm.
Okay? You'll be able
And
to
what
see.
are the techniques you use in the Agentic AI application? Like, I know one of them which it uses typically is reflection. So, do you use any kind of techniques in this application to make the result more deterministic? Or is the
Yeah.
nature of the problem statement itself deterministic
No,
that,
no, no. Nature of the problem is never deterministic, actually. So all these can go
okay,
in 10 different directions. What we have put is we have put some guardrails and describe what it should do, what it should not do. So if you
mm-hmm,
see, we did not demonstrate that, but if you were to ask, like, what was the election result last time? What was the football match score of last time, etc., it will say
mm-hmm,
that is not within my, because we have
mm-hmm,
restricted that in its description itself. If it is not related to this data, please do not go beyond that. So you can
Okay.
restrict. Yeah.
How much of the LLM cost do you incur on an average with this application?
This
The
I think was very. I think I used Piyush's account, which is a pro account, and I think Piyush, how much money did you put in your account?
I put $10 and I still have, I think, $7
okay,
left.
all right.
Yeah.
And I've been heavily using it for my own
Yeah.
statements.
Yeah. So this is not going to, I mean, at the most, if you use for your own purposes, probably within $5, $10, you can run all your analysis entire year round, actually.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I
next
saw
question.
that you have Llama installed on your laptop, and that is probably the LLM which you can download on your
No,
local
so
app.
that was the Olama setup, which I
Oh,
was
Llama,
trying to
yeah.
experiment on my local desktop, which I have been able to set up. But then
Okay.
I realized it went through so many steps. So remember, constructing an exercise like this has many, many challenges, for this large group
Mm,
where I cannot be certain what is the expertise level for everybody. So I realized that it requires so many configuration steps, and it'll confuse the heck out of it. Even with the simple thing, we ran into so many challenges, questions, and so on. And I'm sure for some people it has not worked at all. So I'm aware of that. But if I were to do local setup, oh my God, it will be another session. So
One more dimension.
right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Ajay?
Yeah, hi Ken. This was very nice presentation. Thank you. I had a question. I think you showed the demo about this SDLC, right? Different
Mm-hmm.
agent coming in. We ourselves go and sell to client the same thing, right? We also, I'm from a service company.
Mm-hmm.
We are going and offering the similar kind of services. What do you see will progress, right? Like every software company or the services company will have their own agent. I think they will say, okay, I can give you uh, one developer and one agent. What do you see future will look like?
Mm, I mean, I think companies are going to have their own agents. There's no doubt about that. And they're not likely to buy agentic solutions as such. Although some companies have expressed interest, most companies, large companies at least, will have their own agentic structure, agents, and so on that they can trust, that can perform well within their boundary. However, they're likely to outsource companies that can help them with, let's say, security, cost governance, cost control, governance of agents, and those things, and UI, providing UI which is, more efficient and more tuned to AI world and so on. I think that is where companies are likely to be. But the objective of developing something like this is to showcase to them that this is the value that you can get, and we can develop such solutions in your environment. So that's where the value can come. But I think you'll have to be ready to develop it for them. Yeah.
How about, I think you used all open source, like we use ourselves Gemini, like
Mm-hmm.
anti-gravity and Claude and whatnot, right? But in office setup where we have Copilot, most of the office have Copilot now. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're giving it. Do you have any use case or anything which similar things can be set up using the tools given by them? Like for example, I can use Power Automate and Copilot Chat and do some kind of orchestration, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
have some quick guide on that, like how people are going through or how people are doing it?
That's a general description of a problem that client may have, but I mean, it is doable. How do you construct different tools and elements? I know Copilot is mostly internally focused, and these agents can be, or can be inside or outside the organization also. But yes, you can integrate, Copilot, Power BI, etc. All of them have connectors. All of them have ability to call different agents or agentic solution. An agent structure itself, if you remember, I showed you, can be called through an API, whether it is through user interface or programmatically. All those things are possible. So in both the worlds, you can call the other world. Basically, that's how it is. So It all depends on what kind of solution you're trying to build. If it's already there in Copilot that serves your need, you'll go with it. If it's something in between, then you'll try to call one from the other. If it's a lightweight call to others environment into Copilot, you'll do that. If it's a lightweight call to Copilot from an agentic world, you'll do that. So there are different ways of constructing those solutions.
Thank you. One last question. Who do you see like Claude or Gemini or Copilot? Are they all strong? Are they doing this, performing at the same level?
See, they have all their different strength, and there are a lot of studies out there that tell what is the advantage of each one. A lot of people have found Gemini to be pretty good in terms of overall outputs, etc. Right? So that's there. Claude has its own specialty, its own advantages you can find, but nobody can comment absolutely this is the thing to go. And these keep switching. At one time, OpenAI was the only LLM in the market. Then Cloud came and upset everybody else. Now Gemini has evolved to a level where people are saying Gemini is the best. So one thing for sure is all of them will keep evolving. That's the only thing that is certain. You cannot put a definitive mark. It all depends on how do you control the hallucination, how do you increase the accuracy, how do you prepare yourself to constantly update your agentic and AI world, AI implementation. So it all will depend. So that is the approach that we adopt. We say, we are ready to change. We know all this, whatever we are building, a lot of it will be useless, but I'll be in 1 year time frame, but I'll be in a better position to adapt to whatever is the next best thing. But if I have not tried out anything for next 1 year, then I'll not be in that position to utilize. So I'll keep utilizing value, and then I'll come to a position where I'll have to make changes and utilize even more value. That's how it is.
Great. Thank you, sir.
I think you said correctly, where you have to build something where it's flexible enough that you can swap out the LLM you're calling, so that you can get, as the LLMs advance and the reasoning capabilities advance, you can get better outputs just by using the right LLM. Like Kaushal is off, I think, got a phone call. But Anurag, you
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
go?
I'm back. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this session. I definitely learned a lot from whatever the resources I was searching online. Thank you very much for this session. I'm working in healthcare data science domain, and I would like to know, like, what are the steps that you recommend that I should take in maybe next 6 to 12 months to become a better candidate for AI focused roles.
Mm. Yeah. So, I mean, one is obviously at every point, I think all of us are required, everybody included, including the panelists and everybody, to be in touch with whatever is coming in the market. What we showed to you is probably the way people are utilizing right now. You are not going to find anything that's going to blow your mind on top of it, on top of what you saw today. So it's going to be something very similar, something of this similar nature, complexity, and so on. So that's how you're going to see. Uh, you know this, you got something to experiment with. I would suggest you read about it, you make yourself familiar with it, you try to see what each one is trying to do. We have left you with a lot of material to understand and build your basics. Be familiar with those terminologies. See YouTube videos, take your own sessions from Coursera and deeplearning.ai by Andrew Ng, and there are a lot of good uh, I would say professionals on LinkedIn who you can follow. I follow so many people actually. So you can probably go to my profile and see who I follow. So maybe you can follow some of those people and read their blogs as things are evolving. So that's how you capture and keep in touch with us. So our main objective is to every few months keep updating on our IT audience what is the latest and greatest. So that's what we are doing. So I started with AI session, then I had Agentic AI. Now I'm having Agentic AI plus RAG, and future something else comes, we'll have that. So these are the ways we keep helping each other, and I take the inputs from other people who are much more knowledgeable, right? So that's how we bring it to you. So that's
Thank
how
you.
you can stay relevant. There's a lot of material. You can be pretty dangerous in any meeting in AI, basically now, if you were to absorb it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And we also, I mean, professionally, should your organization need anything, guidance, etc., we all do professionally as well. Okay. So AI strategy, data strategy, how to build agents, etc. We all, like you saw, we all do that professionally also. So if you need, you can get in touch separately through LinkedIn. Okay. All right.
All right.
So I think with that, thank you all for joining. And obviously, there are a lot of elements that go into it. My big thanks to the organizing committee here. You see Parag, and you see, Dhanshri, Priyank, who is traveling. Otherwise, who would have been in the call as well, and everybody else who contributed, and of course, Piyush, my partner in crime. Right. So.
No, thank you. This was a very nice session. I know there were a little bit of, back and forth that was happening in a live demo as it usually does, but I think people got a gist of a lot of the agentic analysis.
Thank you all so much for your
Thank you all
patience
for
and
coming. Yeah.
participating. What is that?
I said thank you all for coming. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dhanashri, for
Yeah.
Leading us through.
Yeah. And my setup is working perfectly now. So I'm on Mac and I
All
made
right.
it work. Actually, it was permissions issue. So I was trying to open my Google Notebook. Then on Mac, it started asking me to log in with my password. I don't remember my Google password. So that's why I couldn't bring everything into one machine, which I should have maybe. So, okay. Thank you all.
See you in the next session then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. See
Thank
you. See you
you.
all. Yeah. Bye.